Like I said, let's take a look at Nvidia because that's reported a stellar set of numbers in the fourth quarter. What really stands out is that 75% revenue growth in its core data center business. In fact, their commentary going forward is also quite upbeat when it comes to both their segments in terms of gaming segment, in terms of a lot of things. In fact, their commentary is quite upbeat. In fact, Puneet is joining in with the updates on this one. Puneet, it is a blockbuster set of numbers. And the commentary also seems to be quite upbeat. They're forecasting a little bit of short supply squeeze coming in as far as the gaming segment is also concerned. Quite the interesting commentary and the numbers.
Well, most certainly very strong numbers. And we are also looking at it with the context of what's happened with the software companies as well. So when you compare the actual versus the estimate, about a $68 billion growth, the revenue that they've reported in this particular quarter, 75% growth. But compared with the estimates also, it's beaten those strong built-up estimates as well. In terms of earnings per share at $1.62 per share, that estimate is also beaten roughly about 1.53, which was the estimate built in for Nvidia just for the EPS. Now, when you look at some of the key comments coming in, now we're specifically focusing on the software companies in the context of what's happening with the Indian tech companies as well. Now, Jensen Huang, he has mentioned that the markets have largely got it wrong at this point of time on the AI threat to these software companies, because they do work with a lot of the other companies, especially in the legacy companies like banks amongst others. So his expectation is that the software companies will use this agentic AI to get ahead as well as modernize the legacy system, something that Nandan Nilekani also highlighted in Infosys' AI Day as well. Largely, of course, a very strong revenue in this year, $215 billion, up 65% YOY. But for quarter one also, there is expectation of a $78 billion revenue to be reported as well, according to the company's outlook. They've also mentioned that the gross margins are expected to be roughly around 75%, and they are not assuming, of course, that data center compute revenue will be included at this point of time from China in its outlook. So that's the other kicker, that once that comes in, it will be an additional fillip to them, as well as the margins that we spoke about, of 74.9 to 75% in terms of gross margins. So overall, those are the key numbers. But certainly the comments made by Jensen Huang in terms of getting in the specific commentary on the software companies is what we would like investors to focus on at this point of time. If this has a direct impact on the IT companies, will be something to watch, but most certainly a very, very important set of comments coming in across multitude, but also on the software companies as a whole.
No, absolutely. And his commentary coming in on long-term cash flow, agentic AI, it seems to be a little bit of an inflection point at this point in time. Thank you so much, Puneet, for joining us with that update. So there you go. That's what numbers speak as far as Nvidia is concerned. But let's also listen into what the management then had to say, because during the con call, you do have Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang saying that the company remains confident. When you talk about their long-term cash flow growth, citing a fundamental shift when it comes to global AI adoption. Let's go across and listen in.
I am confident in their cash flow growing. And the reason for that is very simple. We have now seen the inflection of agentic AI and the usefulness of agents across the world in enterprises everywhere. You're seeing incredible compute demand because of it. In this new world of AI, compute is revenues. Without compute, there's no way to generate tokens. Without tokens, there's no way to grow revenues. So in this new world of AI, compute equals revenues. And I am certain that at this point, with the productive use of Codex and Claude Code and the excitement around Claude Cowork and just the incredible enthusiasm about OpenClaw and the enterprise versions of them. All of the enterprise ISVs who are now working on agentic systems on top of their tools platforms. I'm certain at this point that we are at the inflection point. We've reached the inflection point, and we're generating profitable tokens that are productive for customers and profitable for the cloud service providers.